Okay, so the questions are about the perfect girl, the prostitute, and other stories which I hope you've bought, hope you've read it, I hope you're enjoying it, and I hope you're recommending to others to get.
And leave a review on Amazon.
So, I've told you this before. One of the surprising things about the perfect girl. Okay, let me start by saying, sorry that it's a long question. You know, I love to read African authors. And I thought that, you know, I know the way African authors write. You know, I know what to expect. You know, I enjoy their material very much, but I'm never, like, shocked by what they're presenting. Now, what surprised me about The Perfect Girl is that the characters are so varied, and many of them are non-African. And then you have an African writing about them. You know, so you write about a Latina nanny in The Nanny, like if you're a Latina. And you write about a Caucasian man in The Runner, as if you're a white guy. And you write about... So what is my question? My question is, you know, how do you understand the issues of others so well? How do you do it with such authenticity? How do you write about what a man is thinking? You know, maybe it's kind of like different for me because I don't, or I haven't written fiction. So you're not writing about African characters, and you're writing as if you've lived their lives and...
First, thank you because I think that's a compliment. If you say, like, I write different from Africans, from, you know, most
from
African authors.
Sure.
Yeah, I appreciate that because that is one of my purposes. First of all, my first aim when I'm writing a story or whatever is to write a good one. No matter the culture, and to write a relatable one. And I can only hope, and I consciously set out not for all my stories not to be African themed, because I kind of rebel against that. Because I remember I took a writing class once, and I had my writing teacher she said that she thought my writing was very good and very different, but she felt she was trying to steer me towards writing how Africans should write. Like, and this was before Chimamanda was Chimamanda. This was before she was she hadn't published. But I could tell what she wanted. She was like, this is what people want to read. People want to read about
the pounded yam.
Yes, about the villa. And I was like, I said respectfully, that was not my entire experience. You know, I'm not, when I'm writing like that, I feel inauthentic. Because that's not, you know, how we were, you know, we're not, you know, I can't read, I mean, I can write it, but I feel almost silly. So I just write about what I want to write about, and I hope that I'm capturing the essence. I don't know, if you say I did it, then I appreciate it, but I don't know what it is to be a man or what it is to be a Latina, but that's how I think. You know, that's my interpretation of how I think they would think. So that's it.
Fascinating to me. You did a really excellent job.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
And then my next question is, one of the things I've noticed about all of the stories in The Perfect Girl is, you know, when you think about the main characters, or maybe not the, you know, most of the characters in each of the stories, there's a certain, like, uneasiness. You know, I don't know how to describe them. They're restless. They're not completely comfortable. They're yes, you know, in all of them, it's like a theme. And as I thought about it, you know, I was coming up with these questions. I wondered, was that deliberate, or did that just sort of happen? And whatever the answer is, why do you think that is?
Okay, that's a great question. Well, the answer to the last part is no, it was not planned. The thing is, like 7 or 8 of these stories were written as assignments when I took a writing class in 2006. So that's what, 7 years ago? When did I publish? I published this 2014. Oh,
that was a long time ago.
Yeah, a long time ago.
9 years ago.
Yes, so I published this November 2014. So yeah, so no, that was not intentional. But the rest of them, that wasn't intentional either. But I will say why I do it. I just feel like no one's, and I'm sure we've talked about this. I'm a little bit of a cynic, and I really feel that there's no one at peace. I mean, I just feel like everyone has a little bit of struggle in them. no matter how it looks on the outside. I'm fascinated with it. You know, when people think other people have the perfect lives or the perfect marriage or the perfect, you know, I'm always like, no. I'm like, I don't believe for 1 second. Not because of anything I've seen or they've said, but I just know that that is life. Right. And even if it's smooth sailing at this point, at some point there was a that. So I like to, that's what makes it interesting for me, like writing about people. I like to kind of, I wonder what's going on there. I wonder what the fly in the ointment is. So that's, yeah, so, yeah.
Interesting. Well, you've made me jump to one of my last questions.
Okay.
Because you talked about how it's been like almost a decade since you penned some of those stories. Right. So one of my last questions was going to be, you've been writing since I've known you, which is forever. And, you know, what do you think took you so long to write this book, Perfect Girl, and get it published?
Oh, well, I know. Well, let me go to why I published this story. Well, it's because of you, because remember we were talking and I don't know what happened. Oh, I had a blog on WordPress?
Right, 90 days.
90 days or years to getting published, because I really thought, I would not get published because, first of all, the whole traditional route of, you know, you have to submit. I find that process really strenuous and disheartening. Right. And, you know, and with the people, the agents who are trying to sell your work, so they want you to write the most saleable work. And most of them may not be writers, but they don't understand. So they think this is what sells, and this is the only thing that sells. And so they reject your work, not because it's not good, but because they feel they can't sell it. They're like, why would an African write as a Latina? It doesn't make sense, you know. So I'm digressing a little bit. So I never thought I would publish, and then I certainly didn't want to publish short stories because I felt like my best work would come as a novel. I never really, So my sister read my blog, some stories on my blog, which I finally released, you know, some years after I wrote it, and she was like, "These are really good. I think you should publish this first while you're working on your novel." And I was like, nah. I was like, seriously, what? But then later I was like, okay, half the work is done for me anyway. I published 17 stories. I think I'd written 7. So I just wrote 10 more, and that was that. So that's why.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
I'll ask one more.
Okay.
And save the rest for the next session.
Okay.
So related to this last question I've asked you about, you know, what took so long, right? There are lots of people out there who feel like they have a book in them and they've just never actually written it. What advice do you have to give them for overcoming whatever barriers there are that are making them sort of like not write this book?
Oh, okay. I would say, everything I'm going to say, you've heard it before. It's trite. But the only way to do it is to actually do it. If you're a procrastinator like me, you just have to write it. It's not going to seem like your best work, to be honest. Some of the stories I published, I was like, I really hate these stories. But guess what? Some of them, people have told me, listen, this is my favorite, and I won't say which one, because I don't want to, you know, be biased against any of them. But people are like, I love this story. And I'm like, really? I really hated them. At the time you're writing it, you just never know who your audience is, who will speak to, or whatever. So just write, you know, write whatever it is. Whenever it strikes you, just write. Even if you don't finish it, that's fine. I know we like to, you know, certain personalities, we like to finish it and check it off, but sometimes it's better just to write a little and come back to it. That's what I do, because I can't, some people say write every day. I'm not one of those people who can just write every day. I have to be inspired, and I'm inspired at the, like, wrongest times or whatever, the most inconvenient moments, sometimes on an airplane, wherever, maybe in a meeting, and I just scribble a little bit, points on, you know, on a little post-it, because guess what? For me, it never comes back the same way it you know, the first time. So I just write it down, or a phrase sticks in my head, and I build a whole story around it. So that's all. Just do it. And guess what? If you don't publish the traditional route, come to Story She Wrote. We'll publish you. Okay. So now I'm going on to ask Nena Ndioma, the author of Strange Women, which will be coming out in the next month or so, the rest of her questions. I have a little more than 5 left. I'm sorry, I cheated. I didn't do just 10. Okay. Why did you decide to go with an independent publisher?
Well, I talked earlier about how there have been a number of twists and turns. I don't know anything about independent publishing, and the first book contract that I had was from a traditional publisher. Things went south for reasons I can't really, explain. And then I was sitting there thinking one day, and for whatever reason, and we talked about, the whole process I've been going through, and one day I just said, wait a minute, my sister has a publishing company. How come we've never thought of just publishing this book? What are we doing? And then I asked you, well, how come you never asked me? And then you said, well, you had a traditional publisher, so I thought that maybe you didn't really want to. I was like, no, I just hadn't thought. You know how you can be so busy and you're just not thinking. You just don't have time to think about and plan for anything. So I became really excited about the idea. I'm just excited about the fact. Why? The last time my sister and I worked on a project, we must have been 10 and 7 years old. You know what I mean? And we've always had so much fun doing joint projects. And so why not do this as adults when, we're still sort of learning, but we're very interested in this whole process. We're very passionate and committed when it comes to writing. Why not? It just makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
So, yes, I'm with an indie publisher, but that indie publisher is also my sister, who I know, will look out for me and everything. So.
And guys, she taught me everything I know. I used to copy. We used to make little books. And I'd always want to copy, see what she was writing down. I'll try and write the exact thing, and she'd be so upset with me. But anyway, okay. So when did you first start writing?
When did I first start writing?
Yes.
Like writing as
right. Yeah.
Are you counting the kids stuff?
Yes.
Okay. Well, if you're counting, what most people do as kids, then I wrote my first book maybe at age 8, in terms of, like an actual book.
They make it cover.
You draw your cover, you're the illustrator, you're everything. Yeah, probably 8.
Do you remember what it was about?
I have no idea, but I remember that I published with Python Books.
Python, I remember.
That was the name. And hers was called Sugar Books.
Sugar Books.
Yeah, so... Okay. Yeah, I have no idea what that book was about.
Python Books. And isn't it funny that on your cover, I'm not allowed to say.
Yeah, you're allowed to say.
On the cover that she's for the strange woman, there's going to be a snake on the cover. Right, so that's
true. I never thought about that.
Okay. Will there be a sequel? Oh, no, sorry. Well, let me just ask that. Will there be a sequel to Strange Women? Why or why not?
Good question. Honestly, I'm stumped. I don't really know.
Okay.
It really depends. Why not? I guess because of the way that this particular book emerged. I didn't feel like I had to struggle with it or anything. And I'm not sure if I want to add more struggle to my life, by saying I must do a sequel, whether it comes to me or not.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So I don't know.
Okay.
It'd be nice.
Yeah. Yeah. Will you ever write fiction? If not, why not?
I don't think I will. Again, because I think it'll be too much of a struggle. I feel like it just requires a certain level of talent. That's what I think. I may be totally wrong.
Okay.
Maybe I could get up and try my hand at fiction, but I don't feel confident, about that at all. So probably not.
I think you should, but anyway. Okay.
We'll see.
All right.
I won't say never.
Okay. All right. Who is Nena Ndioma? 3 words that describe you.
Ooh. 3 words? Deep. Committed.